Hello, how are you today? I hope you are feeling wonderful. But if not, no worries. Together, we will put a smile back on your face before the video ends. And today is exciting because I have a guest. Emily is a professor who teaches immunology, but really her first step into this science world was studying fungus. So it's really kind of full circle um, about the thing that we're going to talk about today. I'm not going to give away too much, but it's, Reiki coming into mainstream. So without further ado, let's get in. Yes. So hello, Emily. Thank you for being here. I am super excited to speak with you today.
Hi, Nasrin. Great to see you. And thank you so much for inviting me. I'm a little bit nervous, but I'll do my best.
Oh, no worries. I am equally nervous because this is exciting news. And I know you were really excited when you heard about this thing that we're going to talk about. But I guess before that, we should do a little bit of introductions. Um, yeah, would you like to just go ahead and introduce yourself a little bit?
Sure. Yes, I'm Emily. And then I'm a university professor studying immunology, microbiology, and then also infectious disease and then autoimmune diseases and stuff like that. So today I'm going to talk about what I heard in a conference, I mean academic conference. So this is a talk with Nasrin today.
And so you might be wondering, what is a professor going to tell us about Reiki on this Reiki channel, right? That's the thing. And of course, you know, but if you are joining us for the first time, I am Nasreen, and I had the Canada chapter right here in Toronto for Japan Reiki Association. And I am I'm not at all academic. I am, although I am a skeptic turned believer as far as Reiki is concerned. Um, how do you know about Reiki, Emily?
Yes, I actually didn't know anything about Reiki until I would say 2 years ago or something like that. But I just started to look at YouTube and then checking YouTube and then found that there are interesting YouTube contents about the Reiki. And then I got really hooked to it. So it really all started. Of course, I was a little bit skeptical, I would say first. And then, as you know, as a scientist, it's kind of hard to completely understand. Well, of course, complete understand of Reiki is actually impossible. But I really started like, wow, this is great. But I had an interest anyway about all the how can I say the spiritual things and stuff like that. And then it's around the time that my mother passed away. And then after that, I really got into what we are. And then I started to notice something which I just cannot explain only by what we can see by eyes or what we can touch, or I would say anything anything tangible uh, wouldn't be the 100% we are surrounded. So that's how I started.
Wonderful. Okay. So when you say, as a scientist, it's difficult to believe, like, do you find that people around you, are more like skeptical?
I have to say yes, unfortunately. So I have actually a hard time to come out that I'm doing Reiki. Sometimes, I mean, of course, depending on whom I talk to. And then I was telling this story to other people, other scientists. So I went to one of the conferences and then I met a scientist over there, I mean, colleague scientist. And then I said that, well, first of all, I have to say that the hotel was really very well known about the kind of paranormal activities in there. So people say that, well, the hotel has a ghost. And then I was kind of saying, like, well, you know what? I heard about it. Isn't it scary? I said, I don't know whether I can sleep tonight. And some people are like, oh my gosh, don't tell me about it. And then, but there are still some people who said, like, well, I just can't believe you said that. You are a scientist. What are you talking about? That's, I, I kind of felt that it's kind of a little bit even rude, but uh, that's how some people take it. So it's not really easy to bring it out.
Okay, yeah, I understand. And yeah, so because I'm not in touch at all with, the community that you are in, this is like, okay. But then I guess, different communities everywhere, there are people who easily believe, and there are people who will be like, no, I don't believe anything that I can't see. But you and I know better now.
Yes, yeah. Yeah,
So
because yeah, yeah, you know what? Because it's just impossible to understand everything what we are surrounded by. So that's what I stand for. I mean, you know, so that's why when we do science and all that thing, I mean, there are lots of things we cannot explain. And it doesn't mean that something we cannot explain doesn't exist. That's what I believe.
exactly. So, what happened? Like you go to different conferences to hear like new discoveries. How does that happen?
Yes, the particular one I recently went, it was 2 months ago. It's a microbiology conference. And then it's nothing to do with spirituality or anything. It's
Okay.
absolutely 100% total academic, hardcore science conference. So I went there. And then we get abstract before starting the conference. So just one day before the conference, I was sitting in a hotel room and then checking out the abstract. And I found one person uh, had the title of his talk about the Reiki. And it was like, Reiki? What? And then I was really interested what he's going to talk about. So make the long story short, what he showed or he also talked about in the meeting is that he added Reiki to microbe, which is some kind of fungus. So the fungus got more tolerance to different kind of stresses. So, yeah, the talk was great. And then I really confirmed that and then convinced that the data is very strong and then very solid. So also another thing is that it's interesting how he started the talk. He said, okay, so everyone, I'm going to talk about the Reiki today. I think 99% of people may wonder why I'm going to talk about this, and then maybe you are not going to even believe about this. But he said, this is what I had. And then the interesting thing is that he doesn't know anything about Reiki and he doesn't practice it, but he just had his colleagues or somebody who knows about Reiki, or actually Reiki practitioner, he said. So she just talked to him saying like, oh, hey, how about just giving Reiki to the fungus you're growing and to see how it goes. And then he thought that's okay, let's just do it. And then he was skeptical. And then again, even after getting the result, he still doesn't know much about Reiki. And then he got a really solid data. So he ended up presenting in the meeting.
Wow. And so this like conference, this meeting was about fungus studies.
Yes, right. Fungus and the yeast, and then fungus and the yeast, and then lots of people study different things, genetics in it, and then also like cell biology, or for me, fungal infections, and just all kinds of fungi yeast related research were presented.
So do you know like how, he got into let's try Reiki, and like why Reiki on fungus?
Yeah, so it's just simply because he is using fungus for his research. Because the fungus is such a convenient organism to study any kind of genetics, also cell biology, I would say. Because as you know, if we use human cells or even mammalian cells, it can be difficult with many reasons. So just using fungi can be pretty, straightforward. And then also, different from bacteria or viruses, fungi are eukaryote. We call it eukaryote, which is evolutionary related to mammalian cells. So what we find in fungal cells could be applied to mammalian cells as well. So that's why many people use yeast for genetics because it's really, convenient to use. And then also, you know, uh, we don't kill any animals or anything, right? Which is also important to do research. So that's why he has been really focusing on. There are like a whole bunch of people in the world focusing on fungal biology because of that reason.
Because it's like the basics of I guess the human cells, and it's easy to test on, so people can use fungi and do all sorts of different kind of things that eventually they may want to do it on, I guess, human cells or whatever else.
Yes, eventually. And then also,
Okay.
sometimes, and then in lots of countries, um, fungi can be used for fermentation. So, for example, yogurt, I'm sorry, yogurt is a bacteria, but for example, in Japan, people use different kind of fungi for miso, all that kind of thing. So, yeah, it's a really important organisms.
Okay. And so bacteria is different from fungi.
Right,
It's
it's
like
different.
fungi is more like closer to the
Yes,
human cell,
yeah.
or okay. Okay,
Hmm.
that's right. Yogurt is bacteria and miso is fungi. Oh,
Yes, yeah. Hmm. Right.
okay.
And then also beer and then uh any kind of alcohol drinks, people use yeast to, for fermentation. So they are all fungi. So
See, like as a lay person, like everything, virus, bacteria, fungi, everything is like all, in one group.
yeah.
Mm.
Right. Hmm.
Yeah. You spoke to Yoko, our president of the
Yes.
association, about this, and somebody watched this, and she was talking about her own experiment that she did at home. So if I remember correctly, yeah, I think she decided to do an experiment because she had to make the miso, and she
Mhm.
remembered, I think, that experiment with the water, that when you talk to a water, give water good
Oh, that
words, then
one.
the crystal is beautiful. I think probably it was kind of based on that. So she decided to do the same for the miso, and hoping that when she put, a beautiful gratitude word, thank you, that the miso
Yes.
will
Yeah.
become more delicious. And then the second
Right.
one, she said, okay, let me put something bad and see what happens.
Right.
And as she
Hmm.
was doing, she remembered that, oh, I'm a Reiki practitioner. Let me see if I put Reiki on the third one, what will happen?
Hmm.
And right, she did Reiki on it. And I believe the one that she did Reiki did turn out quite good, because then she, I believe, gave it to her son to taste, like a blind
Ah,
taste. Right. It was just one incident, but it's interesting to see
yeah.
that it does make a difference. But
Mm.
so going back to that was an experiment like done at home, that
Mhm.
anybody can probably do. But this particular doctor who presented at the conference actually got data. And so when you say like proper data, what does that
Mhm.
mean?
Yeah. So for example, a couple of things. So number one, whether the comparison is done appropriately. So for that, what he did was, um, he got two different groups, and then one group, the Reiki practitioner gave Reiki to the fungus. And then another, we call it control. He just got somebody just up there, know nothing about Reiki, and then that person just randomly kind of did that kind of mock Reiki kind of thing, but the person doesn't know how to do it. So he compared. And then the second thing which are important is it's not only a one shot of experiment. He did repeats, and then even one group he had like multiple, tests. And then the third thing is statistically analyzing what he got, because it's not like one shot experiment, repeating and then also having multiple tests in one group. So and then eventually, statistical analysis showed that there are difference. So we really look at all these, and it was really well planned and well yeah, carried out, and it was great. And then actually after his talk, of course, we have Q&A, question and answer, small, short, session. And then many people ask a question. There no one really asked about the data itself, because data was really solid. And then rather, people are asking, because most of the people don't know about Reiki there. So one person was asking, oh, what can we do to become a Reiki practitioner? Or another person was saying that, is it possible like some kind of heat or whatever is coming out from hands? And then of course, he didn't know the answer, but at least he said like, well, there doesn't seem to be like, super, super high heat is coming out or anything. But at least he said that, well, um, you know, as long as he saw it, it really, you know, didn't see something clearly different. And then also he said that the hand was 10 centimeters above the fungal culture. So if something is coming out like heat, 10 centimeters is still a little bit, big distance. And then right, something like that. Because, I myself do, okay, I'm a practitioner, I'm a beginner, but I still do Reiki. But, we still need to put the hand a little bit closer, right? Yeah. So those are the things he was answering. So it was
Okay.
interesting. Yeah.
So he actually had the practitioner put
Yes.
hands about 10 centimeter
Yeah.
above, which is quite usually when we
Uh,
do Reiki practice, it's
Yeah.
much closer. Even if we
Much closer.
hover, yeah, much closer. So that's interesting to know. Like in spite of having this, that
Mhm.
means it's like really energy.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Probably the practitioner is really good as well.
Right. And like what doesn't what makes this more valid? And obviously, because everything is tested on the subject, which is the fungi,
Mhm.
uh, how that reacted, how that responded.
Oh, okay. Yes. Yeah. So what he did was he first gave different kind of stresses to fungi, the fungus. So the stresses include heat. It's not like super, super high heat. It's a little bit like, well, it's a very hot day kind of heat. So probably, I don't know, I don't remember, probably like 30, 5, 6, 7 degrees, or maybe higher. But yeah, something like that. It's not like, crazy hot. And then another thing is UV light, ultraviolet. And he also had osmotic stress and then oxidative stress, 4 different kinds of stress. And then after giving that stress, the practitioner and then the layperson gave Reiki. And then look at whether the fungus could recover from those stresses. Yeah, and then he found that 3 out of 4 stresses are really um, show the statistical difference in terms of the tolerance. So I thought that that's also very you know, great to see that 3 out of 4. It's not like all of them. If it's all of them, it sounds a little too good to be true, but 3 out of 4.
That's an interesting viewpoint, and I feel like that's a very scientist viewpoint, to say that, not 100%, but say 75% was accurate, and the other was, yes, not.
Yeah.
um,
Hmm. Yeah.
okay. And so,
Hmm.
what impressed you the most about
Yeah.
this?
Hmm. So, first of all, I was impressed that he had such a courage to present about Reiki in the, um, hardcore science conference. And then I'm sure he presented it because the data was really good. And then also it was very significant. So that's the biggest impression I got from that. And then also another thing is that he is not a Reiki practitioner, or he even doesn't know about Reiki at all. So there is really no point for him to advertise Reiki. Right? Because he was asking me, "Oh, how does it feel when you give Reiki, or your hands gets warm, or you feel kind of like a tingling feeling or whatever?" So he really doesn't know Reiki. So that's one thing. And then another thing is that right, yeah. So because fungi uh, really do not have the brain, so they cannot think, right? So they don't have any expectation when they got the Reiki. So not just not like humans, because we may feel like, okay, we got Reiki, so this may work. So oh yeah, placebo effect. Yeah,
That's right,
so
right.
yeah, so no placebo effects from fungal side. So that's also credible thing. So those are the three things I thought.
And then you couldn't help but let us know that in the hardcore conference you heard about Reiki.
Yeah, that's right.
Thank you very much. Like, this is amazing. I have a few more questions that's popping up. Is so when you
Of
say this was like good data, what would be a bad data that you would have dismissed it?
Yes, so bad data is basically not credible data. For example, if the comparison is not systemic, uh, in a really appropriate way, and also, for example, just a one shot of experiment, just doing one shot and then say like, okay, I got a difference. It could be just a coincidence, right? So we really have to do repeat and then have multiple samples in one group, and then have to look at how the data goes. Is it like really what is the average? So when we looked at it, uh it was really done well. I mean, like very carefully planned experiment. That's what I have to say. So yeah, that's what I mean. So it's just because of our job, we are kind of trained to see, okay, this is a good way to do, this is not a great way to do. And then, yeah, so that's also another thing. Like, no one really questioned about the
Right.
data, which was very solid. Hmm. Yeah,
Okay, so that's what it is. Like, when you are a scientist, you've been doing this for years and years and years. You know how to analyze the data, how to conduct the experiment. And then when you get solid results, then you will go out and present,
exactly. Yes,
right?
yeah, that's
And
exactly what it
okay, and
is.
he would not have presented because, like, if the data wasn't solid, he would not have presented. First of all, it's like Reiki, spiritual stuff.
Mhm.
And like in the beginning, you mentioned like a lot of the scientists don't really believe in things that you cannot see. It has to be with your eyes, solid stuff. So if it was not credible enough, he would not have presented it in that conference. So
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. So I don't think he was going to present it from the beginning or anything. I don't know. But really, the thing is that he tried because, as I said, one person he knows just approached him and like, oh, why don't you just try that? It's gonna be fun. Just try that. And then he did. And then it turned out like, oh my gosh, it's actually different. So he decided to present it.
How big a deal is this that somebody, did this kind of an experiment and presented?
Oh, how big deal is right. So, the presentation in the conference and then publications are a little bit different. So, I'm pretty sure that he's going to do a little more work on that, and then eventually he's going to publish in one of those journals. So, once he gets to the journals, it means like, okay, it's there. And then also getting into journals, we usually have two or three reviewers. They are super, super critical, sometimes even pretty, I would say, yeah, not pretty harsh, it's extremely harsh. They say like, oh, you don't have a good control or you are not doing this. And then only the manuscript and the story went through all these harsh examination is going to be published. So once it's there, we can see, everyone can see it, and then it become kind of very, very official. Well, he already presented in an official meeting, so it's still official. But once the story is out in the publication, it become more accessible to more people, and then it becomes even more, I would say, widely accepted, I think, because people can see it through internet these days.
Right. Wow. So people out there who have been like skeptical, this is like one of the first, I guess, stepping stones for those skeptics to know that it exists. It's there, it's true. And it's not the heat from here. It was right about 10 centimeter above that
Mhm.
the fungi was affected and it responded to Reiki. So wow.
Yeah, yeah. And then again, I think, he had like really far away 10 centimeters, not like, 1 or 2 centimeters. That's a great thing because probably he also wanted to exclude any kind of possibilities. Again, if it's a 1 centimeter or two, probably Reiki healer has really warm hand. And then, we never know. Fungi may sense heat pretty well. But if it's 10 centimeters, it's really far away. And the heat is not going to go that far distance. So that's also another thing. I guess he did a really good experimental setting. So his name is Dr. Drauzio Rangel from Brazil. And then the meeting is, it's a long, long name. And then the abstract I was talking about is already there as well. So you can see it.
So I can link the website and point to where they can find the abstract.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
how is your personal like Reiki experience? Being a scientist on one side, having to
Yes.
deal with, and then you have now Reiki on the other side.
Right, right. And then one of the reasons why I also started Reiki is that I got to know that the Reiki is not only the healing to others. I mean, healing other people would be fantastic. However, I got to learn that the Reiki is also like for, treat, how can I say it? Like conditioning myself. Yeah,
Yes, your self-growth, the
good
understanding
way.
yourself, becoming
Right,
more
right.
aware of yourself.
Exactly. So I thought that that's really great. And then, also not only my colleagues, people around me, well, they are mini skepticals. So Even though I really want to, do Reiki to other people. Maybe some people say, "Oh no, I don't believe so. You don't need to do." it." So I was really prepared for that kind of situation, even I started. So that's why I was like, okay, well, if I can really condition myself in a really good way using Reiki, that would be really great. And then I have been also doing meditation for years. And then I feel that, meditation Reiki can go very well together. And then those are really, fantastic to really condition, I would say, condition myself because
Mhm.
sometimes, for everyone, not only me, everyone, life can be really challenging, right? So, and then also starting Reiki, I kind of feel like really, I feel a little bit, how can I say, this sounds may sound a little corny, but I feel kind of like a big love, I would say.
Oh, no, that's amazing to be just able to feel like unconditional love when
Exactly.
you're not looking for it. It's something that just
Mhm.
kind of pops into you,
Right,
right?
right.
And then that feeling of gratitude that you're not looking to
Exactly.
say thank you, you're not looking to feel
Mhm.
the gratitude, but it just, wow, I'm here. And that's amazing.
Yeah, thank you. So that's really a great thing. And then,
Yeah.
I'm still a beginner, I have to say. So I'm really trying to keep practicing this. And then I'm really looking forward to, progress more in the future. Yeah. So yeah, I'm so glad that I came to know about Reiki.
Me too. I am so glad that you got into it. And self-growth is a continuous process, and I think it's very individual, right? Like even when you think about it that way, in scientific experiment, um, how I guess each person will move forward with their experiments is going to be different and very individual in certain ways.
Right, right. Yeah, that's true. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. And this kind of reminds me of the conversation we had earlier, where although you had said that scientists are very like you know only what I can see, but we talked something about intuition, right?
Mm-hmm.
That probably those scientists who excel and do well actually do believe in their gut feeling, their intuition to decide and to move forward what experiment to do or not to do or abandon or persist and continue even though people are saying no.
That's really actually true. And then yeah, I mean although people really don't know much about Reiki, I mean scientists, and but I think really good scientists are doing it without noticing that. I mean, doing it means doing the intuition based selection, what to do, what not to do, and then which direction to go or what kind of hint they can get to move forward. For example, I heard that some Nobel Prize laureates, they had some kind of dreams, and then yeah, I just don't remember the name. Somebody, one of them, like in his dream, the molecule was dancing. And then he tried the molecule, and then boom, that was it. And that kind of thing I heard sometimes. So there's something. And then people take it seriously, but not necessarily everyone connects their intuition to something which is meaningful. Maybe people just shrug off thinking that, well, it's just a coincidence, whatever. But, you know, it may not be coincidence.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
really depends on, person to person, whether, how to take it. But I, I heard that kind of thing really often. And then honestly, I saw the great scientists have such a fantastic intuition, and then that really drove them. So certainly, it's something beyond our brain can do. Yeah,
True.
so that's what I think. Mm.
Yeah. And isn't science basically that? Like it's trying to discover things that we are not
Yes,
aware of.
exactly. Yeah,
Yes.
right. Exactly. So that said, I think it's actually really important. Yeah, to tap into something which is not tangible. And then the
Mhm.
people who are sensitive to that can really proceed to something excellent. That's what I feel. Yeah.
Yeah.
And of
Yeah.
course, many scientists do not agree with me saying this, but that's actually people are doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I'm sure there are many who will agree with you as well. So yeah. So I like amazing. I guess we've been talking for quite some time. Thank you very much. This was an amazing, amazing conversation.
Thank you. I had a
Yeah.
great time.
Is there anything else that you'd like to add before we end?
Well, I still have never visited your Reiki office in Toronto, so I really want to see you sometime.
Oh,
First,
absolutely. Absolutely. So thank you very much. And I guess, anybody who's watching, if you want to know more about it, if you're curious, if you are a scientist and you're more curious as to, what Reiki is, etc., please reach out and I'll be happy to talk to you about Reiki. And on the scientific aspect, I guess I can tap into Emily and give you more answers.
mhm,
So anyway,
sure.
yeah, thank you
Okay.
very much.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very much. So we'll
Thank
say
you.
goodbye to everyone
Yes.
at this point.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Bye.
All right. Okay.